Shalom, everybody. Shalom, everybody else. So we continue our classes on Tanya, soul journeys. So let's review what we learned so far. First of all, do you have any questions regarding the previous classes? No, everything was clear. Okay, so we started with a very important statement that we all have a mission. Before soul comes into this world, it's being sworn, saying that you should be righteous and not wicked, but and in a small print, but if the whole world tells you that you are righteous, in your eyes you should be wicked, which appears to be strange. But first of all, we see that we have something very important to accomplish in this world. Let's try to understand what does it mean. The meaning of these terms: tzaddik, rasha, righteous and wicked. And we find that there are few levels of the souls according to the Talmudic classifications. There is a perfect tzaddik, complete tzaddik, incomplete tzaddik, perfect, probably in a negative sinner, wicked person, rasha, and incomplete rasha, and something in between, some intermediary level, which is called Beinani, the middle one. But then we found out that this middle one doesn't mean, how to say, it's actually very, very high level, because we realize the person who commits sins, does averos, does mistakes, is a sinner. Like the person who is tailoring, he's a tailor, right? The person who's doing sins is a sinner, not Beinani. Especially like we saw in the one of the cases in the Talmud, that one of the very, very righteous people, Rabbi, was calling himself Beinani, and he was known to be righteous, to be one of the greatest sages of the Talmud, studying, being preoccupied with studying the Torah all the time. He just didn't have time to sin. Even angel of death couldn't take him from this world while he was preoccupied with the Torah study. And nevertheless, he called himself Beinani. So that means that it wasn't like he wasn't faking. It wasn't false modesty. What made for him possible to be mistaken about himself, to call himself Beinani, that Beinani is the one who also doesn't sin. So what's the difference then between righteous and Beinani? We need to understand all these these terms. And we made a side note that there is usage of these words on a common level, so to speak, when we call righteous the one who has more merits than mistakes, the sinner who has more sins, averos, than merits, than mitzvahs, and Beinani is balancing, like between, 50-50. But that's not the essential meaning of these terms. We use these words regarding the judgment, especially judgment of Rosh Hashanah, when we're talking about, where is this, 3 books opened on Rosh Hashanah: the book for righteous, the book for wicked, and the book for Beinani. So the book of tzaddikim is called tzaddikim because they were, how to say, acquitted in the court, because they have more merits. But this is not the essential meaning of this term. But what essentially means? What does it essentially mean? And to understand all this, we need to look deeper into our spiritual anatomy, so to speak, to analyze, to learn the structure of our soul. And in the beginning, we need to realize that we have more than one soul. When you're talking about the specifically Jewish spiritual structure, so to speak, it's quite complicated. We have, as we learned, we have two souls. Every Jewish person has two souls. It's like I saw the funny picture, the cartoon, a funny-looking dog with long ears, curled like pace, with a yarmulke. It's called Pudelman, or Taki Terrier. It's different from all other dogs. Always ask for more water, for more food. That's kind of Jewish creature, So as a Jewish creature, we have a little bit more of souls also, so to speak. But that's in a funny way to present. But it's in truth of the matter, it's a very serious business, and we will analyze it. It might sound a little bit strange or chauvinistic, maybe. Every Jew has one soul more than other people. Let's try to understand what does it mean. But first, let's see what Tanya tells us about this. So one soul. We're starting with the soul, which is I'm going to say it's a lower level. Animal soul. It's called animal soul because it's immediately enclosed in our body. There's another soul which is more lofty, which cannot directly relay or be connected with the body. It's too godly. It's called godly soul, nefesh elokis. It's communicating with the body, if it does, through the animal soul, through convincing or forcing the animal soul to move the body in the proper direction. But that we will talk later. First, let's see. Tanya is talking about the animal soul. What does it say about it? First of all, it comes from the specific area in the spiritual structure of the universe, of the worlds, which is called Sitra Achra, other side. Levels of which are called klipas, shells. What's the meaning? Powers of covering, concealment, hiding. Again, we will analyze it more in a more deeper level later. So from this other side, sometimes they say it the evil side, but it's not so simple. It's not just the evil. This animal soul comes from this side. It's hello. Welcome.
How you doing, Rabbi?
Great. Thank you for joining us. Can we?
I'll get you.
And we also speak, we don't do it just better.
No, they don't see one.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Unless you want them to. No.
It's on the shelf over there. Okay. And the level of its immediate, the primary revelation is the blood system of the human body, because that's what provides all the vital substances to every cell, every part of the human body. So this is the first level of revelation of how the vitality of the soul animates the body. With the godly soul, there is another center of primary revelation. We will get to it later. The animal soul, that's what animates the body. The primary level of its revelation is the blood system, especially heart. And we want to, and from this, so specifically from this soul, come all the bad character traits of our nature, which could be classified, could be grouped according to four so-called elements. We're not talking about chemistry in scientific sense. Here, these are ideas, the spiritual ideas, which stem from four letters of God's name, which represents certain qualities of created objects. So everything which is created could be grouped in four levels, in different systems and different levels. Hashem created this world in such a way that the same laws, the same rules, the same harmony could be seen on different levels in different systems. Like the example I brought last time, four states of a matter, right? Physical states. Firm. I'm sorry. I know Russian terms, but might not be correct with the English ones.
Solid.
Solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Right. Levels of geosystem, as Earth as a planet, the solid nuclear. I mean, the planet itself, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and the outer space. We can bring many other examples of these classifications, grouping it into four levels. So our natural character traits also could be grouped. You see, sloth and melancholy corresponding to the element of earth. Appetite for pleasures corresponding to water. Frivolity, scoffing, boasting, and elbow talk, air. And anger and pride, fire. Last time we analyzed it more in details. What's the similarity? Why those character traits correspond to this specific element? We're not going to repeat it again, but that's the idea. Now let's continue. V'gam midas tovos shebeteva kol Yisrael b'toldosim. But also from the soul stand all the good characteristics which are to be found in the innate nature of all Israel, such as mercy and benevolence. Okay, Baruch Hashem. So it's not something just bad or evil. There is something good in this spiritual power which we call animal soul. Some natural qualities which we inherit just by birthright, so to speak, which as an example, mercy and benevolence, willing to help others. Ki b'Yisrael nefesh zoi de klipa hi me klipas nege sheyesh bo gam ken toiv. Why? Because in the case of Israel, the Jewish type of human being, this soul of klipa is derived from klipa noga. This is one of the levels in this other side, sitra ochra, which is called not just klipa, but klipa noga, the shining klipa. The shell of shining. Klipat naga. Noga is shining.
But what a difference?
No.
Klipat.
Clear?
See-through?
No, it's noga means shining.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but what is the difference between like a Jew who lives out of Israel and a Jew who lives in Israel?
In that sense, there's no difference. All of them have two souls, godly soul and animal soul, and this animal soul stems from klipot, but from this special level of klipot, which is called klipat noga, which contains something good. And this, and Tanya says that this stems from the mystery of the tree of knowledge, good and evil. Actually, the mixture, the phenomena of possibility of mixture of good and evil began from the first sin which was committed by the first humans, but that we're not gonna go into depth of this topic. let's continue. Let me make the how to say political incorrectness of our topic even more severe. Before we'll try to analyze and understand the deeper meaning of it just saying. And nowadays there are many teachers who give classes on Tanya who just skip these passages, the final passages of the first chapter, because they seem to be how to say, not so easy to understand for sure, not so easy to accept for many people, but nevertheless, let's not skip it, and I'll try to give you some deeper understanding of what's written there. Mashi enkein nafshes umeis ha'olam hein mishar klipas tmeis. The souls of the nations of the world, however, emanate from the other unclean klipot, which contain no good whatsoever. She'ein bahem tov klal. Kmo shekosov be'etz chaim shar memtes. V'chol tzivu the avdin ha'umeis ligarmai ha'avdin. That all the good, you might say, what does it mean? What does it mean that the souls of all other people, other nations, they come from what we, at least at the first glance, when we perceive it like the side of evil. There's no goodness there whatsoever. Are they all bad? We see we see every day. We see nice people doing good things. How can we connect? So in the Kabbalistic book Etz Chaim, it's written that all the good that the nations do is done from selfish motives, for themselves. Okay, we'll get back to it, but let's finish this paragraph, this chapter. Ukedeisa begemara al posuk v'chesed leumim chatos shekol tzedaka v'chesed she'um izhaylam oisin eina ela li'isyaher. So the Gemara, the Talmud, comments on this on the verse. The kindness of the nations is sin. That's from the script, from the Tanakh. That all the so how Talmud explains this? The kindness of the nation is sin. How the kindness could be sin? Sin is something bad, right? So why the Holy Script calls the good actions sin? It's not in the how to say jury and the legal terms, not on the levels of how to say of the laws. On the essential level, that the charity and kindness done by the nations of the world is only for their own self-glorification, and so on. So now, first of all, to give more background when we talk about the spiritual structure of the soul. First of all, let's analyze what we just learned. So, all the Jews have two souls. I'm sorry, I mean the picture is very primitive, but you understand what I'm trying to represent here. Godly soul and the animal soul. The animal soul, as we said, animates the body. Godly soul, something more lofty, more godly, very disconnected from body, acts through the enclosement into the animal soul. So the evil parts of our being corresponds to which one? To the animal soul. The good one, with our divine soul, it's only good. Only represents our striving, our will to serve God, to fulfill the mission with which we were sent to this world. But our animal soul also has some natural good qualities, because it comes from such a level which is a mixture of good and bad. So when we talking about some inner struggles, inner fights, when good and bad fighting within our, let's call it for simplicity, our mind, that's these two souls struggling for the control over our body. Godly soul and animal soul. So the other people don't have two souls. So should it be described that they have one soul less? Don't they have inner struggles? Obviously they do. But their spiritual structure is a little bit different. A little bit. Is very different. They have also, they also have good inclination and bad inclination. But these two opposites, they exist within one entity, the soul. It's not that we have one soul more. It's that our spiritual structure is different. What's the difference? That we have this inner duality, spiritual duality, by us is brought to the absolute extreme. So one has one power, carrier, divine soul, and another has another carrier, animal soul. You understand? Our inner duality is split. Why? Because it corresponds to the specifics of our spiritual task in this world. We come to this world as physical creatures in order to infuse it with godliness. So we have like two anchors, one connected to the super high spiritual levels, another rooted in the earthiness. And our task is to connect this together, to bring godliness into this world. That's the mission of the Jewish nation. Again, it might sound a little bit complicated, but I'm just touching the topic. We'll be discussing it more and more, just to explain. The spiritual mission of other nations is different. They also have certain tasks, 7 mitzvahs given to Noah and to all his descendants. From the way how they serve God, how they keep these mitzvahs, the safety of this world depends. Understand? There is difference. Our mission is the aim of our mission is to bring this world to the final goal. Their mission is to maintain the safety of this world. And the spiritual structure of both groups corresponds to the specifics of the mission. And there is no chauvinism, there is no nationalism here. That's how, first of all, that's how God created us. Second of all, if you like this funny picture with 2 flames rather than just one flame with 2 colors, you're welcome to join. But it comes with a lot of
Heavy price.
small script and heavy price and very harsh destiny. We know it throughout history. But there is a mechanism of becoming Jewish. If the Gentile wants to serve Hashem on completely different level, as a Jew, there is a way to become a Jew, and he will be considered. His spiritual structure will transform into what we are talking about. Will become so.
You're gonna develop another soul.
let's put it in simple words. He will have this exactly the same spiritual structure. How? That's separate question. But he will become like a regular any other Jew. And by the way, talking about the price, statistically, the mental sicknesses are much more common among Jews, and that's my speculation. That maybe it's connected with this extreme duality which we have in our spiritual structure, when two enemies are fighting within our mind for the control of our body. There's no solidity, oneness, like by other nations. This extreme duality might be inner spiritual cause for some mental problems.
This is why we're the strongest.
It's like, there is another illustration. You see, very primitive, but so by them, both sides are combined within one entity, the soul. Whereas we have two. What do you call this in English?
Magnets.
Right, but the sides of magnets.
Oh, negative and positive.
Yes.
The poles.
Poles. That's right. That's the word I forgot.
He knows all the proper terminology.
So by us, it's like these poles are split and separated. One belongs to godly soul, another belongs to the animal soul. Okay, that's with the souls. Does it make a little bit more clear the situation? Okay. Now, to give like graphic illustration of what we discussed, the other side. The energy which sustains the world, the existence of everything created, comes from the source through two main different venues. Directly, which is called side of Kedusha, the side of holiness, levels of which are called worlds, Elamim, which what does it mean directly? There are certain things which I'm interested in directly. Sometimes to achieve the certain goal, I need something else. I need to use, to imply, to get something else. But do I really want this, which I use as a tool or as a decoration or whatever? Not exactly. So my inner will doesn't really, so to speak, interested in these things, but I'm using them anyways, bringing into the play, so to speak. So in the universe also there are two different venues: the direct way of sending the power, the vitality to sustain the created entities, and indirect, which is called Sitra Achra, the other side, and the levels of it are called klipas, not worlds, but klipas. The klipa, the meaning of klipa is shell. So these are the force which hide the godly light, which conceal it, not just transform. The worlds are also transforming the divine light and kind of lowering the intensity, condensing it. So on the level of the lowest world, why we call it lowest? How many miles we are lower than the highest world? It's not about it's not geometry. We are lower because the godliness is more concealed. The godliness is not revealed in this world. In the higher worlds, it's more and more revealed, less and less concealed. But this concealment is a kind of transformation to create the reality where we can exist with a certain self-awareness and so on, because if the divine light would be openly revealed here, it would destroy the creation. So on the level of the worlds, the concealment is a tool to create. When we're talking about the other side, it's the concealment for the purpose of concealment. That's why we sometimes, in certain contexts, we associate the word evilness with the other side, the side of evil. But it's created in order to give us freedom of choice. There are certain things which are, let's say, prohibited for us by the laws of the Torah. Why Hashem created them? To give us freedom of choice. Because He wants us to serve Him not like robots, but to make decisions and to have free will. To have freedom of choice, what do we need? We must have something to have freedom of choice. Choices, right? This one, that's what Hashem says. That's what I want you to do, let's say, to eat, if you're talking about the food. And these things I don't want you to do, to have or to eat. And those things, they come from Sitra Achra, because they were created for the purpose to give us freedom of choice. But it's not the direct, purpose of the creation. These purposes are meant to be achieved through us serving God with freedom of choice. So in order to give us freedom of choice, Hashem gives us choice and creating certain choices, but saying, I don't want you to do it. And that comes from the Sitra Achra. So our animal soul also comes from Sitra Achra. You see, I made it low, but don't take it as a map of the structure of spiritual words. It's very abstract, just to give you abstract idea. Because even on the levels of the highest worlds, there is an existence of what we call klipa and so on. But we are not going to go into this mystical depth. But to make it more simple, I made, you see the lowest part of Sitra Achra is different, has different color. So that's in this hymn, in this picture, corresponds kind of to the Klipas Noga, Klipat Noga, from which our animal soul comes. You see our animal soul?
Right.
And we said, but the souls of other nations, they come from Sitra Achra. You see the souls? But you see also there is another Goyish soul, so to speak, on the same level as our animal soul. Because in truth of the matter, it's not mentioned here, but it's known that the souls of the Gentiles who are called Chasidi Umaysoilam, the righteous of the other nations, their souls, not animal souls. You remember, for the Gentiles, there's no differentiation. Animal soul, godly soul. This soul, we can call. So their souls come from the same level, from the same realm as our animal souls. This Klipa Snoga, shining Klipa. And who said we don't know which percentage of all the Gentiles could be called Chassidim and who are not, whose soul come from the same realm as our vital soul, and whose come from impure klipas, so to speak. But not only that. If the soul of the creature comes from these impure realms, does it mean that this creature is evil? All the non-kosher animals, their souls come from impure klipot. And I said, they're one of the purpose of their creation to give us choice. I want to eat this animal, but Torah says I should avoid it. This animal, I don't want to mention it. The soul of this animal comes from the impure klipa. There is another animal, very cute one, which also prohibited. I would never want to eat it, but maybe in some cultures they do eat them. But I would never even think about eating it. For me, it's such a cute creature. For some people, it's the best friend. But the soul comes from the same impure klipa. Does it mean that this creature whose soul comes from klipa is this creature wicked, evil? Not necessary. This knowledge that the soul of this creature comes from this spiritual realm doesn't describe this animal being or human being. It refers to something else. And we already mentioned from the citation of the Talmud and Pritz Chaim that origination from the impure klipa connected with what? With selfishness, right? With doing something or everything for selfish purpose, right?
Also mitzvot.
Is it good or bad? I think it depends on the context. What are we talking about? We're talking about our spiritual mission, our spiritual growth, or existing. We're talking about existing in the in the society. By most of the people, it wouldn't be considered not only bad, but that's good. How many coaches would teach you, live for yourself, think about yourself first, love yourself first? So, in mind of many people, it's not bad at all to be selfish. It's normal.
Also mitzvot.
So then this description of Tanya is not chauvinistic. It's not nothing to do with racism. It's talking about the origins, behavioral origins, which in this context has negative connotation, but in most of the modern conversation, so to speak, it wouldn't be considered as bad at all. So it's nothing to be upset about. Also, does it mean if our soul, even our animal soul comes from this shining klipa, does it mean that we never behave selfish? It's not. We know, not just from examples of other people, from ourselves, that very often we behave selfish. So let me give you this type of analysis, which connects with the idea of the klipot. The origination of the souls, of the connection with these realms, is being revealed in our behavioral motivation. If it stems from so-called impure klipot, then the behavior is just for the selfish reasons. It could be good deed. It could be act of kindness. But in essence, in the foundation, the source, it's still for yourself. Let's say you help somebody. The most simple example we just read, to get the reputation of generous, kind person. It could be not so primitive. It could be more, say, you give donation to the beggar to avoid this uncomfortable feeling, right? You understand what I mean? But is it kind of act of kindness? Formally, yes. But if you analyze it, in essence, it's kindness for yourself.
Nothing bothered.
Exactly. You didn't do it in order to help, but to save yourself from discomfort, right? But formally, on the level of judicial analysis, you did something good. You scored the point. In both cases, if you want to be known as a philanthropist or just to avoid discomfort, you scored the point. You did avoid taxes. You did good thing. So when we're talking about klippas, shmippas, and impure klippas, we're talking about the source of your behavioral motivation. So the person who is concerned with his spiritual well-being and spiritual development and growth, it's important to analyze. I'm helping him because I want to help him, I'm helping myself. Also, there is another level when we do something good naturally. Because I'm helping because I'm generous. It's not about myself. The person is, some people are lucky, they are blessed. They're born with such a personalities. For them it's natural to help others.
Is it selfish if they enjoy helping others?
It's selfish when you do it to have this joy, not in order to help, but in order to gain this joy and satisfaction. Then it becomes selfish.
But if you naturally do it without.
But if you naturally,
thinking, then
it's natural for you to feel compassion and empathy and to want to help. Then it's different, and that's already klipos noga. It's natural. But there is another. I don't want to use higher level. It's different level, which corresponds strictly to the side of kedusha, holiness, when you do the good deed for the sake of fulfilling the will of Creator. You do it not for your selfish reasons, not because it's normal for you, it's natural for you to do. Maybe you do it against your nature, but just because God told you so. That comes from the godly soul. And again, it could go against the nature. And I said I'm avoiding the words higher or lower. It depends on the kind, what we're talking about. If we're talking about the reward of the person, whose reward is greater? Of naturally generous person helping another person and generously to another, or the what do you call stingy person? Miser, for whom to give away 1 cent is a torture, and nevertheless he forces himself and does it because that's what he's supposed to be done to do. Whose achievement is greater? It's obvious, right? So that's the meaning of this classification, and when we're talking about the spiritual roots of the souls or our behavior. Now, did they add some different perspective to your understanding of that passage which we initially read
100%.
about different souls, the originations of the souls? So I think that that might make it a little bit less politically incorrect what we just learned. Okay, thank you guys. Any questions?
We're now in the Q&A session. Is that the end of chapter 1?
Yes, this is the end of chapter 1. That's why I made l'chaim. Because Baruch Hashem, we completed chapter 1.